Welcome back to Algebra 1 Honors. This afternoon, or this morning, whenever you're watching this, we're going to be looking at Lesson 2-7, consecutive integers. Now, first let's talk about what a consecutive integer is. Okay? And the lights kicked on here. Great. God said, let there be light. Integers, if you remember, let's start this way. Natural numbers, the numbers you learn first as a little kid, are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Okay? Those are the natural numbers. Then mom says to you, no, you can't have any cookies. No, you can't have any marbles. No. So you learn the concept of 0. Okay? When you add 0 to the natural numbers, N-O, natural 0. When you add 0 to the natural numbers, you get whole numbers. Right? So n natural numbers plus 0 gives you now, which is whole numbers. Okay? Now, then when you add to that the negative numbers, then you have what we call integers. Okay? Now, integers do not include fractions or numbers with decimal portions. Okay? They're just essentially the whole numbers with signs, other than 0. Okay? Now, consecutive means in order, in a line. So if I wanted to pick 3 consecutive integers here, I have lots of choices. Okay? I might say 2, 3, and 4. Those are 3, 1, 2, 3 consecutive integers. I could come over here and say, okay, -4, -3, -2, -1. Those are 4 consecutive integers because they're in a line, if you will. They're in a sequence. Okay? Now, if I said I want 3 consecutive positive odd integers, okay, then I might say 1, 3, and 5. Those are odd integers, okay? And they're consecutive. They're in order. Or I might come over here and, if I didn't put the positive requirement, you might say 3 and -1. Okay? And 1. Those are 3 consecutive odd integers. Okay? Now, the difference between, and then we might have consecutive even integers. So if I had 2, 4, 6. Those are 3 consecutive even integers. Now, the difference between plain consecutive integers and either consecutive odd integers or consecutive even integers is how you get from one to the next. So if I have consecutive integers, say 1, 2, 3, the way I get from one integer to the next consecutive one is to add 1. So to go from 1 to 2, I add 1. To go from 2 to 3, I add 1. To go from 3 to 4, I add 1. Right? So if I have an integer and I call it x, to get to my next integer, my next consecutive integer, I have to add 1 to whatever that number was. To get to the smaller one, going back this way, I would subtract 1. Okay? And to keep going this way, I'd add 1 to this, and I'd get x plus 2, and so on. To go this way, I'd get x, take 1 more away, I'd get x minus 2, and so on. Now, for odd and even integers, though, let's say I'm starting at 2, to get to my next consecutive even integer, I don't add 1 each time, I add 2, because I'm going to go 2 positions. Okay? And to get from 4 to 6, I'm going to add 2. Okay? So for even integers, if x is my first integer, to go to my next consecutive even integer, I'm going to add 2 to that. To go to the next one, I'm going to add 2 to this, and so on. To go back this way, if I want to go from 2 back this direction, I'm going to take 2 away, and so on. And the same thing works for odds. Let's say I had -3. Okay, to get to my next consecutive odd integer, I add 2 to that. 1, 2, and I'll get -1. To get to the next one, I'll add 2 to that. 1, 2. There's my next consecutive odd integer. The next one, I add 2. 1, 2. And my next consecutive odd integer is 3. Okay? Now, here's how to solve a problem, a word problem about consecutive integers. If they give you a problem that says the sum of 2 consecutive integers is 43. Okay? 2 consecutive integers. That means we need 2 blanks, and they need to be 1 apart, because it's not consecutive odd or consecutive even, it's consecutive. That means like 3 and 4, or -2 and -1, or 0 and 1, or so on. So they're right in order. Okay? So my first one, sum means plus, means I add, and is my equals, and 43 is what I get when I add them together. Okay? Now, if I choose a letter, say n, to represent my first number, to get to my second consecutive integer, I'm going to add 1 to that. So there's my first number, and I add 1 to get to my next consecutive integer. Okay? Now, let's see, what have we got here? I've got 1 narwhal here and another narwhal here. So I've got 2 narwhals, 2 n's, plus that 1 equals 43. Now, remember my equation's like a teeter-totter. I have to keep it balanced. Okay? I want to figure out what n is. Well, one of the things I can do first is to get rid of this 1. So if I take 1 away over here, I have to take 1 away over here. Okay, so now I have 2n equals 42. Okay? Now, I don't want to know what 2 narwhals are worth. I want to know what 1 is worth. So I divide both sides by 2. That's like taking each n and putting it on its own balance. Okay, and then if I divide this side in half, I have to divide this side in half. So I get that n, my number, is equal to 21. Then I have to go back up and look at my problem. It said 2 consecutive integers. So that means I need 2 numbers. So let's see, my first number is going to be my 21. Okay, put that in for n. And then 21 plus 1 will give me 22. 21 plus 22, yes, does equal 43. And these are consecutive integers. They are in order, one after the other. Okay? So that's that problem. Now, let's look at one where we do odd integers. So the sum of, let's do 3 consecutive odd, that odd in there, odd integers is 75. Okay? Now, your book shows you one way. I'm going to show you an additional way. Okay? I have 3 numbers, so I'm going to make 3 blanks. Okay? And they're odd integers. That means that there's something like 1, 3, 5, 7, so on. So they're 2 units apart. Okay? They're 2 units apart. So I'm going to make my number in the middle n. Okay? That's one of my numbers. And then, so that would be like my 3 here. And then to get to my number, my next largest number in order, I'm going to add n plus 2. So it would be, in this case, 3 plus 2 would get me to 5. Okay? On this side, to get to my next smallest consecutive odd integer, I'm going to subtract 2. So it'd be 3, take away 1, I'd get to, or 2, I'd get to 1. So I'm going to make this one n minus 2. Okay? Now, when I add those together, because it says sum, so there's my smallest number, there's my middle number, there's my biggest number. Okay? When I add those together, I get, it says is equal 75. Okay, now let's collect things up here. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3 narwhals, so my 3n. Then I've got a minus 2 here and a plus 2 here. Minus 2 plus 2 equals 75. This is going to give us a 0, a number and its opposite. So that leaves me with 3 n, 3 narwhals is equal to 75. Divide by 3. And my number, each narwhal is worth 25 points. My number is 25. Now I have to go back up and say, okay, n, that was my number in the middle, 25. And they're consecutive odd, so from 25 I want the next odd integer this way, which would be 27. You can see if I put a 25 there for my n, I get 27. And to go this way, the next smallest one is going to be 23. And if I put my 25 there for n, I'll get 23. Okay? All right, let's do one last one with even numbers. What if we had 4 consecutive even integers, and this time let's get a little different here. Let's say our sum is a negative number, negative 100. Okay? So we have 4 of them. We're going to make 4 blanks. 1, 2, 3, 4. It says sum, so we're going to add them together. Their sum is negative 100. Okay, now, we don't really have a middle one here, a middle number, so we have to just choose. Okay, you could choose here, you could choose here. Actually, you could start over there. Okay, I'm going to choose this one to be my n, my number. Now, since it's consecutive even, it's going to be like 10, 12, 14, 16, like this. So to get from one number to the next larger number, I add 2. To get to the next smallest number, I subtract 2. So to go from here to my next largest number, this is going to be n plus 2. And then to go from here to my next largest number, I'd add 2 to that. I get n plus 4. I need one more number, because it says we have 4. So to go this way, I'm going to subtract 2. Okay, now let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 narwhals. Okay, then a minus 2, a plus 2, and a plus 4 equals our minus 100. Okay, we can combine our constants here, our numbers. Minus 2 plus 2, that makes us 0. So we're left with 4n, 4 narwhals, plus 4 equals 100. Okay, get rid of the 4 by subtracting 4 from each side. All right, remember we have to keep the equation balanced. We're left with 4 narwhals here equals negative 104. Yeah, I almost forgot the negative. You got to be very careful with negative signs. Negative 100, and I take 4 more away. I'm in the whole 104 now. Okay, now I want to know what 1 narwhal is worth, not 4. So I have to divide both sides by 4. And I get n equals, let's see, 104 divided by 4 to 26, right? So negative 26. Then go back. This is n. So right here, this number right here is going to be negative 26. Okay? Add 2 to that. Remember, we're in the negative world here, so adding 2, we're getting closer and closer to 0. We're getting out of the hole. Negative 26, I earn 2 more dollars. I'm only in the hole negative 24. Add 2 more to that. I get negative 22. Need one more number here, smaller, negative 28. Now if I add those all together, I can verify that, and that, and that, and that, yes, all add up to negative 100. Okay? That's what there is to consecutive integer problems.